95% of AI projects fail, and the worst part is most companies don't even know the reason why. A recent MIT study found that 95%, almost every single generative AI project, failed to deliver any return on investment. And Rand reports that AI projects fail at twice the rate of regular IT or tech projects. If you're new here, my name is Tommy Chris. I'm the founder of Arose AI, where we've used AI to automate over 100,000 calls in real businesses, as well as I have a community of almost 1,700 people where I help teach applied AI and how to use AI in the real world. And everything I'm going to share in here is based on my actual learnings out in the real world, working with companies who are actually implementing and trying to implement AI. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the two main reasons why all these AI projects are failing. One has to do with SaaS companies, and the other has to do with the actual decisions business owners are making. And so we'll cover both those issues. I'll share some stories from my day job and what I actually see working and not working out in the real world, as well as I'll show you a quick demo of how easy it is to actually build a custom AI tool. And so by the end of this, you actually have a clear, actionable roadmap to implementing AI either in your business or in your personal life. And so let's hop into it. And so for today's video, I actually prepared a little slideshow for you guys so it's easier to follow along with everything I'm saying. And this video, as you already know, is why this AI bubble is causing all these AI projects to fail, and what's actually behind that 95% of generative AI projects failing. That big statistic coming around, MIT is a big name, Rand's a big name in the research. And so let's explore this. So first, who is this video for? Owners, which is people who own a business. Operators, which is people who operate a specific department, usually a bigger business. And then developers or agencies like myself, who are the people building these solutions for businesses. Or this video is also for people who are just curious about AI and want to know where the space is at. And so hopping into this, let's look at all these headlines, because these have just been all over the news, especially in the AI space. It's been very prevalent. So you have Fortune reporting 95% of Gen AI pilots at companies are failing. Forbes is reporting it, the Marketing AI Institute. I'm not sure how reputable they are, but for sure Forbes and Fortune are, and it's an MIT report. So this carries a lot of weight and has been scaring a lot of people, and even Sam Altman commented on it. Moving on to this, if you want to be part of the 5%, a little shameless plug here, but if you want to work with us, make sure to book a call down below. We actually have a brand new offer, which I'm going to tell you about more later in the video. And so moving on, let's first take a step back and think about why this actually matters now. One, AI tools are completely flooding the market, and every business owner has been told a million times that they need to use AI. But when they actually research it and start looking up these tools, they're hit with thousands of different options. People paying for Google ads, people who aren't. There's YouTube videos, people like me that make videos about this stuff. They don't know who to trust. They don't know where to start. And so they just have all these options, and it gives them all this anxiety. And the biggest problem with that is they choose one of those options, but a wrong turn, like the second point here says, can cost you a ton of time and money. Choosing the wrong tool or making a bad AI strategy decision can force you to bleed money. Just think of all the employee time, the subscription costs, if the development costs, etc., for literally 0% ROI. It's actually a negative ROI because it didn't make them any money. Just wasted time, wasted resources. And the worst part is now that company, that owner, that operator doesn't believe in AI anymore, and they're going to continue to fall behind while their competitors who are able to actually get their AI strategy correct, pick the right tools, build the right tools, are just going to surpass them 10 times faster. And so the first problem, like I mentioned, or I hinted at in the intro, is the current AI SaaS bubble. And not a lot of people are talking about this, but I'll come out and say it. Every week, there are new AI SaaS tools that hit the market, yet there's a stat that 95% of AI projects fail to deliver ROI. And so there's this huge discrepancy between what VCs are funding, where all this money is going, and the actual reality inside of businesses. Because a lot of these AI companies are business to business. They're selling to other businesses instead of consumers. And so the reality is business owners are drowning in tools, but are starving for clarity. The problem with SaaS is that it's one to many. And I'll touch on this in the coming slides. But basically what that means is it will always be a generic solution for businesses who have very specific problems. And you can see this article here that, Y Combinator is going all in on AI agents, and that's about 50% of their latest batch. So they're the top incubator for new software companies, and 50% of their latest batch were AI agent companies. There may be more AI companies, but if that tells you 50% of all new SaaS startups are AI related, then that's a lot of companies. And so why is this bad? One, these tools introduce complexity. Because when you use a generic solution for a specific problem, which I mentioned, SaaS tools are always going to be a generic solution to a specific problem because they're one-to-many, you will run into one of the two problems. A, the solution is either too complex, the tool has too many features, too many things to do, and it may overwhelm you for your use case for it. Or two, the solution is not complex enough. So let's take a very common use case, which is just internal business communication. Take a product like Slack, a great product, I use it. However, Slack has a million features, a million things on the toolbar that I never touch. And sometimes it confuses me where to find things and features I actually need because there's all this complexity in it. So that would be an example of a solution that's too complex. Now imagine a second internal messaging tool, except it doesn't have a main feature like Slack's threads or the ability to @ someone and send a notification to their phone. That would be an example of a solution that is not complex enough for your use case. And now the second issue is that you don't actually own your own tech anymore. And now a lot of people like myself who have grown up in this age of subscriptions, it actually used to be where you would buy like a CD from Microsoft and you would own all the code for Word, Excel. Now you couldn't resell it or anything. And if you're older and I'm getting this wrong, please let me know. But as I understand it, you would own the tech. You wouldn't pay monthly. You'd pay, say, $200, and you could own that technology, that software, for the rest of your life. People probably still have those CDs. And the thing with a SaaS is you're actually just renting someone else's platform. You don't control the pricing, the features, or whether the product even survives. It could be gone in a year. These startups, they fizzle out. However, with custom builds, which I'm going to touch on in a second, you actually own the system end to end, just like you did with those Microsoft disks. You control the product roadmap, and it can't be taken away with a price hike or the company imploding and going bankrupt. So what has changed? Why is custom development, this thing I just mentioned, all of a sudden viable? Why, if these issues were always issues, which they have been for software, why is it just now that people are thinking of creating custom software for their own businesses? First, and most importantly, AI has made it accessible to actually build custom software. With emerging automation tools like N8N, vibe coding tools like Lovable, and actual coding IDEs like Cursor, it's actually now viable to create cost-effective custom internal automations and softwares for your company, for personal use, for your department, in whatever company you may work with. Now, what do I mean by custom development? I mean literally building your own AI software, except it's a lot easier than starting a software company because you don't have to do any marketing, you don't have to do any market research, you know exactly the problem you're trying to solve, and it's all of a sudden super easy to code, at least at a simple level. This isn't a complete layup, but I'll show you right now a quick example of how easily you can build something. So I have Lovable open now. This is a vibe coding tool I was just talking about. If you want to look at their pricing, here it is. But basically for $50 a month, you can get started. And they actually have a free version if you just want to test it out. But basically, let's make an internal or a personal note-taking app. Let's say I like to write in my diary every night. I would say, create me a custom note-taking diary app with a calendar function so I can see what I wrote every night. And so it'll take a second to build this. Okay, now let's check out what it's built. So obviously this is just one prompt. There can be a lot of back and forth, but you just talk to it like you would ChatGPT. You can see I've built this my personal diary, capture my thoughts one day at a time. So I want to say, hello, excited to record a video. excited to help you out. Save that entry, and I can go back. I can write on any of these days, but anytime I go here, it saves that entry. And so this is obviously a very simple personal use case, but you can start to see with just one sentence, I already created this. You actually own all the code. You have all this code. Like, you own this. This is your intellectual property now. And so you begin to see, and your mind starts racing at the actual power of what AI is able to do, and why all these AI projects and SaaS tools could potentially not be the best fit for your business. Instead, you begin to see why a white glove custom solution that fits exactly what your business needs becomes a lot more viable. But don't just take my word for it. Here's why custom wins, because other people are on this train too. So here's a couple articles I took screenshots from. I believe these are both from the Fortune article. And here are their key takeaways from that big MIT study. 1, 95% of AI projects fail due to an implementation approach and not actually technological limitations. And so it's people just picking the wrong tools or picking the wrong problem to actually solve. And next, this vibe coding methodology, which I literally just showed you, enables rapid deployment and iteration. So you can find a problem and within hours start trying to deploy and troubleshoot a solution for it, and just iterate and iterate until it works. And then it's a solution you own. You're not paying $100 a month for it. You're paying whatever time it took to build it, and you don't have to learn it because you built it in the exact way your company needs. And now the second one says the overall thrust of the MIT report was that the problem was not the technology. It was how companies were actually using the technology. And that leads us into problem number 2, which is companies don't know what to solve. Decision makers are often left to figure out which solution is best by themselves. And this leads to a whole host of problems. And most common is that many companies and decision makers are deploying AI in marketing and sales, which are really complex and nuanced issues in companies, when the tools would actually have a much bigger impact if they were used to take costs out of the back-end processes, stuff like uploading data to CRMs. Because without a clear high leverage pain point, even the best AI tools or custom built tools even will fail to deliver value if the problem they're solving isn't valuable in the first place. So I actually see this every single day. I actually looked recently. I've had over 130 intro calls with business owners in the past couple months. So that's talking to 130 different businesses about how AI can be used in their business, specifically AI voice agents, which I obviously think are one of the highest leverage opportunities in AI right now, and or else I wouldn't be building them. Actually, Alex Hormozi just went on a podcast and said that he's really bullish on AI voice agents. So if you want one built for your own company, make sure to click the link down below to be the 131st call with me. However, a lot of companies who approach me for voice agents have unoptimized processes connected to their phone systems. Like I mentioned, calls come in, the AI classifies the lead as really hot, and it should be handed off to a closer immediately, except they still have Susie at the front desk. God bless her soul, makes it sound like she died, but Susie's a great woman, except she has to manually read through all these calls that are coming in. So what's the point of automating the phone if you have someone come and read all the transcripts anyways? That should be automated into a CRM so that Susie never has to see it, and it's handed over to Sarah, the closer, immediately. And so these companies would just be way better off fixing these back office problems before attacking a lot of the client-facing marketing and sales stuff. I have this picture of a Bugatti in sort of the hood at this not very nice house, probably worth as much as that neighborhood. So that's what you look when you have an AI voice agent, but a bunch of manual processes. So here's my 3-step guide to actually being part of the 5% who have successful AI projects. Step 1 is do some research. Talk to your team, identify repetitive bottlenecks that eat hours every week. So that's stuff like missed calls, data entry, scheduling. Write down how much time or money it actually costs, like measure that, and that will be the baseline that you sort of measure against. Then you want to pick the single biggest problem with the most upside. So whatever baseline, whatever number was the highest, whatever costs a lot, but also a simple solution. So there's some nuance there. You have to know a bit about the tech to know, what an actual simple solution is. But that could be either getting a super easy to use software tool or just a quick custom automation on something like N8N or Lovable, but never try and attack more than one of these AI solutions at one time, or else your vision is just spread too thin. You need to sort of attack them one at a time, and then test it. Run a 1 to 2 week pilot with a small group, a small team in your company. Track the actual numbers, like how much time they save, their error rate, if that went down, if you got more money from it, that's always great. And then decide from there if it's sort of tracking well, and then start scaling it. Because in that testing phase, you don't need 100% 10x returns. You just need some evidence that it's working. And the biggest indicator will always be the employee who's processed it automated. If they like the new tool, then you should probably keep using it. And so lastly, if you want to be a part of the 5%, once again, get an AI audit. This is a brand new offer we have at Arose AI. You can visit our website. Again, the link will be down below. I believe it's just arose.ai/AI-audit. It's also on our website, and there's a form for you to fill out there. And if you qualify, we'll hop on a call together. I'll give you a free AI audit and actually identify these opportunities for you. And also, if you want to keep learning, join the Applied AI Academy. We're close to 1,700 members. There's a bunch of free resources in there. I host weekly Q&As, and so make sure to hop in there. I share pretty much everything I learn with my boots on the ground, actually building these things for real companies, and I'll see you in the next video.